On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard, live downtown Vegas. Circa Resort Casino is your spot. As always, a 3-hour banger lined up today. Great guests on the program, which we'll tell you about coming up in a second. We do have France-Morocco starting pretty much right now. Paulie, action for you in pocket?
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Morocco +1, and I have both teams to score.
Oh, really?
I am.
Okay, Mbappe to score?
I have Mbappe to score, and
Shots
I have
on
him.
goal?
I do have him tied into several parlays though with other anytime scores and a round robin as well.
The meat man had to do it for FOMO. All the big guys to score. I think it was 17-1.
Yeah, he's priced reasonably today. It's like $1.10, $1.20 maybe in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And despite the one game in which he did not score, it's been every other game for him. And so I tied it into, call me a dope, whatever, but I tied it into Kane and Haaland coming up on Saturday, and Messi has to be on there. It's as good as it gets for this Golden Boot race.
You know what's a good angle, though? Because whoever wins the England match, you're still in a good spot because there's a third place game.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also important that maybe people don't know that, but you would think, what the hell would they care with a third place game, and it might be open and loose. And then maybe, if the loser, Harry Kane, whatever, Haaland could put 2 or 3 in.
That's right.
In a high-scoring match.
Yeah, there's also this. So in France's last match against Paraguay, they only scored. That was a tight game, man. And it was 1-0. They won it. Mbappe scored there. Before that, their previous 4 matches in this tournament, they scored 3 against Sweden, 4 against Norway, 3 against Iraq, and 3 against Senegal. And, I know that we've had a lot of talk, obviously, about this match. There are great write-ups at vsin.com. Nigel Seeley, by the way, on the show coming up at the bottom of the hour. He likes both teams to score. But France has been, Morocco's defense is outstanding, and they are one of the best countries in the entire world, obviously, at the sport. Will they get at least 2 today, Paulie? I'm hoping not. I'm hoping for a 1-1 draw, and we have PKs to talk about later on in the show.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Well, we're going to find out how good Morocco is. It'll be a great test. And a hell of a game.
France, Spain, the possibility of that match, too. Yep. Absolute power in the next one. Today's been pretty wild, man.
Yes, it is.
Today has been pretty wild.
I can't get enough of this Keith Olbermann story with the Honus Wagner card and whatever word you want to use, altered, fixed, whatever. And it's going to be on auction along with a Gretzky rookie and a Mickey Mantle card. And we got our buddy John Calvecchio coming on tomorrow, who's an expert on this. Was he better off leaving the card the way it is? How many of these are actually in existence? He has 2 other ones?
Yeah.
It was just sitting on his desk?
He used it as a paperweight for 27 years.
Yeah. I retweeted the story in the Hollywood Reporter. It's bananas.
It's an absolutely incredible story.
And then...
that card will go for millions.
That's what John says, too.
It has to.
But I wonder, was he better off leaving it as it was? But it's also like if Mitch Moss... Because that 86 Fleer Jordan rookie just went for $500,000. If Mitch Moss fixes it up, would a pro would a professional know, or a guy who's just getting into the business in card collecting in Iowa know? And if Mitch doesn't say anything, hey, the card is altered.
Yeah,
I know you have to put a lot of money into it to get that done, but this apparently we were able to do this with any card we have and restore it, like your Henderson rookie, a Jordan rookie, whatever.
Well, how many people on Earth are actually capable of doing this, restoring cards close to like, I don't even know what it would be. Like, can they get a card that has a crease in it back to a PSA 9? Is that possible? Like, I have no clue. And then how much would that cost? Because I have a Ricky Henderson, favorite player growing up in baseball when I was younger. That Topps rookie card, I get it. It's a pretty common card, but in the somehow, some way over the years, it now has like a crease in the lower right corner that you absolutely cannot ignore. I mean, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. Yeah. Like, would it be worth it if I could track down somebody like this who restores cards overall, and I tell him, look, take this for 6 months, do what you can, and it's going to cost me how much money, and then I can maybe resell it a little bit later on, or then I actually have it in my brain looking at that Ricky Henderson card that I've had for like 30 years. Is that a goal? Mbappe right away.
No, I missed.
Oh, did he really?
I missed, yeah.
Okay, because the camera immediately panned to him like he was celebrating almost. Okay, wide left, yep. Like, would it be worth it?
I think so. But it also ties into like market manipulation.
Sure. That
goes on all the time. Guys bragging that they overpay and what these cards are going for. John says sports bettors should get involved in this. It goes in, ties into what you're doing with sports betting. His point also with Wemby, how his cards have exploded, but also going back to altered or fixed cards about do you have the decency to tell people? Are you upfront about it? What does it do to the value of the card? All this stuff is wild and fascinating.
I'm sure that most people are not going to be willing to do that. I could be wrong on that. It seems like people are going to try to pull a fast one more times than not.
Yeah.
Right? In that kind of a racket. But it is, I think, sports betting and card collecting, they continue to morph as the years go on.
It's a completely different color, though, in the background from the other Honus Wagner cards. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. But if you look at the inventory, and our buddy John sent it to us, I don't know, 20 of them in existence, 30, something like that. But they're all, the worst card, condition-wise, is still $1 million card. The highest being $6 million. Mm-hmm. See, look at this. Look at this catalog. 6 million, 5.1, 3 million, 3 million, 1.9, right? I was shocked that this many are out there.
Right, and available.
Right, and one guy's got 3 of them.
And it's Keith Olbermann.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, different versions of the card.
I know, of all people.
Yep. Earlier today, I was watching Coco Gauff over at Wimbledon in the semifinals. That was an incredible, well, I will call it third set, because the first two, it was like, 6-1, 1-6, 6-1, actually, the other way. Mm. And then they go to the third set tiebreaker, first at 10, win by 2. She's up 9-8, and, on Twitter, people are losing their minds over what's going on in real time. I know VSiN viewers and listeners, they bet her live when she was down big, like plus 250. She's got it. She's on match point. And she decides to do a drop shot. And she puts it into the net with a wide open court. That's the match. She's going to move on to the Wimbledon finale. Mm-hmm. And she whiffs and she completely looks up at her. She smiles. And then she loses eventually. Like, she is going to lose sleep for how many months now, thinking about that drop shot. She'd be playing for the title on Saturday. So that is a tough one to stomach as a fan, for her personally, if you were betting on her. And she talked about that moment and losing overall after the match.
That her, she's obviously a successful player, but I think, she's someone that deserves more success of how talented she is. And I think that, we have the head-to-head that is leaned my way, but it's not an opponent that you want to face in any point of the tournament. And I have so much respect for how she plays and how she is off the court. And, I don't know. It's just one of those battles that, I'm honored, not honored. I don't want to say honored to lose, but like, it was just, I don't know. It's a match I'm going to remember for my career, and it sucks to be on the losing end, but like, even walking off the court, I was like, that was a lot of fun.
Well, she took it in stride.
She really did. Yeah. Really did. How does it not eat at you, though?
Yeah, that's 10 in a row on grass now from Wukova. She gets through
She looked
to
great.
the final.
Some of those points by both women there in that final set in that tiebreaker were extraordinary. The back and forth. That was a lot of fun on television to watch.
I just hope it's competitive tomorrow. We have two huge favorites in the men's, with Sinner being $5 and Zverev $8.
Well, what do you think about Joker? Does he make it competitive? So, I mean, he's an absolute warrior.
What's competitive? Win a set?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Yep.
Wins 2 sets?
It was a struggle to get here, which, hats off to him, but it was a struggle to get here, so maybe it's just too much, and Sinner takes him out in straight sets. But I'm sure you'll see some Joker money from the public based on how can he be this high? How can he be this big of a dog that he could pull this off?
Well, the immediate move was from Sharp Money moving that up on Sinner.
Yeah, open
Right?
360.
Yeah,
Yes.
moved more than $1, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a bet on, and also the Scottish Open is going on as well. So I have a bet on Rory McIlroy, top 10. And so he teed off at 12:28 a.m. Pacific time. And I'm like, okay, I'm not Matt Humans, but, staying up until 6 o'clock in the morning and then sleeping for 90 minutes so I can go on without go on to my day. But I thought about it last night, like streaming it, watching it somehow. I'm like, I could do that. I can stay up for a couple of hours to watch Rory. Laid down with Bash, and that was that. Fell asleep with the little guy, woke up, Rory's round was over. And I don't know if you're like me, Paulie, but when you check golf scores, I scroll all the way to the bottom. I don't even look. I go all the way to the bottom at first, and then I scroll all the way up. And I'm looking. I'm like, there's no Rory, there's no McIlroy. I'm like, this is probably a pretty good sign. And then so when I fell asleep last night, like at 11 o'clock, and I woke up, his round's over with, 5 under tied for the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers are crossed, buddy. Get there for me, top 10. But a lot of golfers put together tremendous rounds today, and that leaderboard is absolutely stacked at the Scottish Open. When Scotty Scheffler dropped a shot early, FanDuel moved him. A lot of guys were in the clubhouse at 5 under. They moved him to 10-1. Then he got all the way back to 3 under, and he gave one back before then. I thought that was a very rapid reaction on Scheffler to move like that. Granted, he was 6 back, but it's Thursday.
Yeah.
So a lot of action here again for coming up in the middle of July.
It is.
Summer League beginning tonight. Darren Peterson's point prop is 24.5.
I think the biggest surprise is $15 for a beer. What are they doing? Come on.
They're probably getting it is what they're doing.
Outrageous. My God. Summer League. Nobody's safe.
Welcome to 2026.
No kidding.
How big is that, by the way? Is it a
I'd
bottle
like to
or
know
is it
the
a
size.
draft?
I know. Imagine if it's a can of beer, $15. You can't even get a good buzz for $45. Come on.
Jesus. We're going to update the live betting board in Major League Baseball coming up. Thought this was a pretty important game. We'll call it fairly significant for one before the All-Star break, and I was not a fan of the result. That's coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
A lot has happened in the last couple of minutes. One, Morocco, they got a penalty, so that obviously sets up Kylian Mbappe to hit the penalty shot for France. And guess what? It was a terrible PK from him. The stupid stutter steps all the time, and it wasn't a laser beam.
I know. I would have made it.
He tried to get too cute.
Plus 750 cashes. France to miss a penalty.
We go out to the Progressive guest line. Nigel Seeley joins the program now. Betting Weekly Studios, Because We Win podcast as well. He's doing great write-ups with the website here as well, vsin.com. What'd you make of that PK, Nigel?
Good evening, guys. It was a terrible penalty, wasn't it? I mean, do you know what? When you're in a pressure situation, the World Cup quarterfinal, semi-final, final, Mbappe, Messi missing penalties, Harry Kane missing penalties. You only need one person to step up and take a penalty in that pressure cooker situation. Matt Yeomans. That's who you need. That's who you need to step up and take a penalty. Because, he's just going to score 100% of the time. He doesn't see nerves. He eats a cheeseburger in one hand, kicks the penalty in the other hand, golf club in the other hand, straight down the middle. And that's what you need. Unfortunately, he wasn't there to take it. But it's easier to take this penalty, isn't it, Paulie? The greatest player of all time, Lionel Messi's missed 2.
Right.
Mbappe's missed 1. Harry Kane's missed 1. But, you were the best penalty taker of all time in your college, weren't you?
Sure. Right down the middle, no stutter step. I won't miss the goal. I'll tell you that, my friend.
Well, you're easy to read then. You stand still as a goalkeeper. You're going to hit that. You told me you've given me my read. Just stand there. No worries.
Good rant.
I can't get over the stutter steps, Nigel. Just come on.
No pitter patter.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think. Listen, the reason why they do that is because it's easier to place the ball when you don't take the power off it. So if you run up and hit a ball, you take power, and obviously with power of the ball. And these balls are very light, by the way. A lot of people are telling this football is a very light football. So they try to place it rather than put power. So if they put power behind a shot, then it can balloon over or go wide. They're not going for the power. These aren't regulation balls that they play in, week out in the European game. So they're taking a start to try to place it, put the goalkeeper off. So the starter makes the goalkeeper make the move first. And when the goalkeeper makes the move, they can put it the other side. But if the goalkeeper stands still, we can understand which way the ball's going to go. Yeah. So, I mean, when you hit a ball hard, then obviously the power can take it anywhere. And these balls are light, and I think that's why they're doing it in this tournament. You
wrote both teams to score, yes, at vsin.com. We're in the 32nd minute right now. Is there a live bet to make, in your opinion?
Probably the same bet, actually, to be fair. I mean, most of this World Cup, everything comes alive in the second half. Yeah. We said first halves of these tournaments, nothing really happens. Obviously, for both teams to score betters, you would have liked that goal to go in, and then obviously opens up a little bit more. But at some stage in this match, France have got to go and attack, and Morocco have got to think to themselves, we've got a chance of beating the tournament favourites. So the trends in this tournament, the first halves have been unders, and second halves have been coming alive and getting goals. So I'd still be doing the same kind of thing, actually.
Okay, you got a great write up also at vsin.com on the match tomorrow. And it didn't go our way. We embarrassed ourselves Monday. But it's fair to ask the question, will Spain concede in this tournament?
I think they're going to concede in the tournament. Whether they concede against Belgium is an entirely different thing. I mean, I think the reason why Belgium had such a big win against the American side is because the activity off the pitch. I don't think that was a good thing for the American national side to be involved in that kind of situation where rules were changed on their behalf, and I think that fired up the Belgian side to put in a performance, which they did, and that it backfired on the American side, which was a shock, and they didn't perform on the biggest stage, which was a really, really big shock considering how well they played this tournament. And I do believe that sort of bad news in terms of the changing of the Balogun situation didn't help the American national side. But Spain are just a totally different side to France. They keep the ball. They keep possession. They're very hard to break down. They haven't conceded in this tournament. And if you look when they won the World Cup previously, they won it not on their fantastic offense. It was on their defense. And I would say that defenses now win titles and win leagues. If you look at Arsenal this season in the Premier League, their defence and their goalkeeper won them the Premier League title. Yes. And there's no doubt, in my opinion, that the best defence in this tournament, the best goalkeeper and the best holding midfield with Rodri and those players in them deep positions are Spain. So they're a very, very different side to France. Belgium will be absolutely delighted with the way they started this tournament, that they're actually into the knockout stages, into the last 8 of the World Cup. But I think the journey ends tomorrow, and I think Spain will win it. I think they'll probably win it 1 or 2-0. But I think the win to nil, which I saw at plus 160.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that price. I mean, that seems a massive price. Spain, what are they on the money line to win the match? Minus 150, minus 160?
Yeah.
To win to nil, plus 160 when they've won every single game in this tournament to nil, apart from that freak match at the very beginning against Cape Verde when they drew 0-0. And if they played that match 100 times, they would have won that 1 or 2-0. Statistically, they were brilliant. I think that's a really, really big price. Because I think Belgium are a bang average side. I think they played the American side on a bad day. And I think influences off the pitch, motivated them for that performance, and sort of the American side felt the pressure.
Your thoughts on this? So we're talking to Nigel Seeley. Follow him on X at Seeley_Nigel. Does a great job. Betting Weekly Studios, Because We Win podcast. So for your club, England, Gerald Kwanzaa got the red card against Mexico. We learned today, another great stop there by the keeper from Morocco. Wow. We learned today that he's been suspended for the next 2 games overall. How is that possible, Nigel?
Well, they're rules, Mitch. And us English, we abide by the rules, mate. Our Prime Minister can't get on the call phone to defeat. If our Prime Minister rang up the FIFA president, he'd be banned for 4 matches. So that's the difference between President Trump and our Prime Minister. So he'd be banned for the whole tournament. But that's the rules. To be fair, he's not, I mean, he's a player that's it's not an influential player. I'd be more worried that the fact that Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice were all on yellow cards. If they got another yellow card in the quarterfinal, they would miss the semi-final. If England got to the semi-final, then we might need the help from our Prime Minister to make a call. But Joe Kwanzaa, I don't think it's. I mean, it is the rules what it is. If you get a straight red card, you get a 2-game ban in the knockout stages. That's what's happened over the years, and we've had World Cup semi-finals and quarterfinals back over the last 25 years when we missed our best players in matches that has cost us. And, that's the rules, and that's what happens. With regards to the game, I think England win. I genuinely think England win.
Okay.
I think Norway are a very hard-working side, very, very, physical side. And obviously they've got Haaland, who's just an absolute beast of a player. But I don't think, Sorloth is a good player, plays up front. Odegaard is a good player, But I think collectively, England are a much better side. I think the win against Mexico has been a huge, huge win for them. They have to go from the altitude at the Azteca Stadium to the extreme heat in Miami. But I don't think Norway are going to be really relishing playing in those kind of conditions as well. It's colder in Norway than it is in London, and that's saying something. So I really do think England will win. And I'm always sometimes buy into the optimism of the England national side and I think we can win it. But sometimes I very rarely bet them. I don't think I would bet them at the prices of minus 115. I think if they were plus 105, if they drifted to slightly plus money, I'd bet them. But I don't think England will be very worried about that match. I think as an England supporter and an English man, if someone said to me at the start of the tournament, you've got a World Cup quarter-final where you're going to be playing Norway, and in the semi-finals you could be potentially playing Argentina or Switzerland with Spain and France in the other half of the draw, I think I'd sign up to that straight away. I'd be absolutely delighted with that. So I'm fairly optimistic that England win that match, and I'm fairly optimistic they can beat Argentina, judging by the performance I saw them against Egypt as well. So, and I don't think the Argentina match against Switzerland is anywhere near a gimme that those odds thing. I think Switzerland are a very, very hard team to beat.
I can't get enough of this fairy story. The local on a wild card, 700 to 1 here at Circa, not one bet on it. Can you, in 2 minutes, tell the Ivan Isavic story, who was a wild card and won Wimbledon in 2001?
Yeah, very quickly. So this, what Paulie's talking about there is the player Ferry, who's in Arthur Ferry's into the semi-finals of Wimbledon, and he's the first wild card to get to the semi-finals since Goran Ivanisevic won it. And I was an odds compiler back in the day, many, many years ago. We went to a tennis tournament in Brighton, in London, in the south of London, south of England. And Ivanisevic had a terrible time. And he played a guy called Hak-Tuk Lee, who was about 200 in the world. And we bet Hak-Tuk Lee, and Hak-Tuk Lee was awful. And Goran Ivanisevic had 6 tennis rackets in his bag, and he smashed every single one of them up before the end of the first set and couldn't play tennis. And we had $1,000 on the other guy, and we didn't know we were going to get paid. And then the Wimbledon draw come out, and I said, this Ivanisevic cannot possibly win Wimbledon. No chance whatsoever. He's a wild card. and I made him a 250 to 1 outsider. 250 to 1 outsider. No chance he'd win. I was an odds compiler working in the books. The first bet we took on the call, it was a telephone call. The first bet was a guy who wanted 200 on to win Wimbledon at 250 to 1. And obviously I cut him to 100 to 1. All the other books come out 80 to 100 to 1 because of his name. He went on to win Wimbledon. It was a 50,000 bet that we took. We lost on the first bet in the book. I don't think Arthur Ferry's going to win tomorrow. I think Yannick Sinner will beat Novak Djokovic. I think Zverev will beat Ferry. But that Dame still gives me nightmares.
You're flying to Miami tomorrow, about a 9.5-hour flight to watch your club play on Saturday against Norway. Have a safe flight. Enjoy the game. Best of luck, Nigel.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Be good. Love talking to you, mate. Win, lose up next. This is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Thanks for watching, as always, on YouTube TV, listening on SiriusXM Channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates. Throughout this hour, we're going to keep you up to date with the France-Morocco World Cup quarterfinal match, 0-0 right now at halftime, the betting numbers and what's going to happen in that match. Lou Finocchiaro, bottom of the hour, UFC this weekend. Conor McGregor makes his return after being away for 5 years. And right now we go out to the Progressive Guest Line. Professional bettor Paul Stone joins the program. And make sure you follow him on X at Paul Stone Sports. Good afternoon, Paul. Thanks for the time today. How you been?
Been doing well, Mitch. Spent first 2 days, or actually Tuesday and Wednesday of this week at Big 12 Media Days, which we're going to talk a little bit about. So closing in on college football, great time of the year, and good to be with you guys again today.
Sure. Your pick to win the Big 12 with a bet would be which team?
Well, it's going to be, there's nothing really, over the top about it. I think the price, you're used to when you bet these conference futures, maybe you're looking to take double digit or maybe at least, 6 to 1 or 8 to 1. But I just think Texas Tech, I was on with Tim and Matt a couple of days ago, and it was plus 117 to win the Big 12 at DraftKings to win the championship game. Now Texas Tech is down to even money or plus 100. And I still think they're just incredible play at that price. There's just so much of a separation between the Red Raiders and the rest of the field, even with their quarterback questions. And you talk about their quarterback, Will Hammond. He tore his ACL late last October, his right knee. But all indications are that his rehab is perhaps slightly above schedule. Joey McGuire on Tuesday said, and I quote, "I could see Will Hammond starting the first game," end quote. So there was some speculation it might be about week 3 before he was ready. But now McGuire is saying he thinks he might be ready by September 5th. And, looking at the Red Raiders, when Brendan Sorsby was still expected to be their quarterback, I only had them power rated 3.5 points higher than with Hammond at quarterback. So I don't see a great distinction between the two. I don't think it's a huge downgrade. Will Hammond, he was a huge recruit out of Hutto High School just outside of Austin. He has started 3 games in his career, started 2 games last year when Bayron Morton was injured, started the 2024 bowl game against Arkansas, if you recall. So Will Hammond, once he gets repetitions, if he can stay healthy, and that's a big if, but if he can stay healthy, he might turn out to be as good or maybe even a better quarterback than Brendan Sorsby. So I think Tech is in real good hands. They play Houston in week 3. They're in Lubbock. I have them favored by 13 points in that game. Every other game, I have them favored by 14 points or more. So they're going to be a double-digit favorite in all 12 games. I just can't see them not making the Big 12 championship game, and they'll be favored if they do. So I think even money on Tech to win the championship game in the conference is just a really good bet.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm glad that you said that. I have that in pocket already. What's their ceiling beyond the conference then? Are they a version of last year's Indiana team? Could they make the semis? Could they maybe play in the national title game?
Well, I think we all kind of have visions of when they fell flat on their face against Oregon, got beat 23-0, couldn't muster hardly any offense. But, it's a different year and a different team. And, again, I think it really is so contingent on how Will Hammond performs at that quarterback position. If he turns out to be I'm not even saying, a minor liability. If he turns out to be a positive, if he turns out to be a player as he gets repetitions, because again, we really don't know who he is under the brightest of lights. If he turns out to be a player, I could see Texas Tech making a run in the playoffs because they're so talented throughout the roster. I mean, there are other 21 positions, but besides quarterback, they really have few questions. They have all conference players littered throughout their lineup. They have difference makers at key positions. Just a big time roster. So if Hammond comes through and plays, I could see Texas Tech, winning a game or two, perhaps in the playoff, and maybe going beyond that.
All right, that's the top of the conference. At the bottom, and this is staggering, and certainly when a coach leaves and he takes some of his players with him, it's an unmitigated disaster. Phil Steele has Iowa State in last place. You want the win total under, but you think you're one of the worst teams, team in a power conference in college football?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the Power Four structure, looking at it earlier today, I think they're probably in the bottom 5 or bottom 6 teams in the entire Power Four structure, rather. Matt Campbell spends 10 years there in Ames, leaves as the all-time winningest coach, going across country to Penn State. And when a coach takes a job, he obviously takes players with him. And he took 24 Cyclones with him to Happy Valley, and not just any 24, but as is often the case as well, he took the best and the brightest. 3-year starting quarterback Rocco Beck goes with Matt Campbell to Penn State. Running back Carson Hansen goes with him as well. Some of their top defenders, their linebackers Cooper Ebel and Caleb Bacon, go to Penn State. Safety Marcus Neal. We could just go on and on. They lost, just virtually all of their top performers from one season ago. In fact, Iowa State, they returned 10% of last year's snaps to this year's roster from last. The only team returning less than 10%, North Texas. They only returned 8%. So this is a very inexperienced team. Jimmy Rogers is their new first-year head coach. He spent last season at Washington State, just one season there. Before that, he was a longtime assistant at South Dakota State. Actually got promoted to head coach in 2023, promptly won the 2023 FCS National Championship. So he definitely has some credentials as a head coach. But I just don't think this roster, it's just the deck's kind of stacked against him, in my opinion, in year one, just not built for success this year in the Big 12. You look at the portal, they had 55 players leave. They had 48 players come in. And the net effect of those, the changeover is just quite negative. They just don't have any frontline Power Four type players. Looking at the few returnees that they do have, they don't have a running back that rushed for 100 yards last year. They don't have a receiver that caught 8 passes last year. Both their offensive and defensive lines, very, very green. And then you look at their defense, they return one of their top 21 tacklers. So they virtually return nobody. They're counting totally on the portal. And in 24/7 Sports, that organization, they ranked Iowa State 16th in their portal team rankings out of 16 Big 12 teams. Going to be a long year at Iowa State, in my opinion. Obviously, when we handicap these regular season win totals, we always talk about the schedule being such a huge component of that handicap. Looking at their schedule, they open with Southeast Missouri State of the FCS. That's a win. They travel to Iowa. They'll be a double-digit underdog. That's a probable loss. Then they host Bowling Green. So they're probably going to start 2-1. So if this handicap comes down to their total, predominantly 5.5 market wide, what it comes down to is, can they go 4-5 in conference play if they go 2-1 in those 3 non-conference games? And I don't think they can. I look at 2 games at home. I've got them as 1 or 2-point favorites against West Virginia and Cincinnati. Another home game, I've got them as a 3-point underdog against Oklahoma State. But besides those 3 games, the other 6 conference games, my numbers have them as underdogs of at least 7 points. I don't think this is going to be a 6-6 football team. I really don't think it's going to be a 5-7 team. I think it probably has 4-8 written all over it. But in any event, my recommendation, under 5.5 regular season wins, minus 136 available today at DraftKings.
All right. Excellent breakdown. Very good. One of the biggest games of the year, the Holy War, BYU and Utah. What number did you grab?
Yeah, this was one of the first ones I grabbed there at DraftKings. BYU, Utah favored by 3 on November 7th over BYU in the Holy War. And I had this game around pick'em. I really thought that, BYU should have a higher power rating. I have them as the second best team in the Big 12 behind Texas Tech. First of all, looking at Utah, they have a new first-year head coach, a longtime assistant and former player, Morgan Scalley, goes from being the Utes defensive coordinator to head coach after Kyle Whittingham retired briefly last year and then resurfaced a week or so later as Michigan's head coach. But you look at Scalley for all his successes, and he might be a really great head coach, but I think the jury's got to be out. I mean, there is a transition when you go from being an assistant to being the head coach and the CEO. He's never been a head coach. Then you look at the other sideline, Kalani Sitake. He's entering his 11th year at BYU, so I think you have to give the experience edge in the coaching department to BYU. But even besides that, I mean, more than that, it just comes down to the roster. I mean, I think BYU has got a superior roster clearly to Utah. Talking about their quarterback, first of all, for BYU, Bear Bachmeier, last year, kind of backtracking, you guys will remember in spring training, he went through the first couple of weeks of 2025 spring practice at Stanford. Their coach, Troy Taylor, gets fired. So then the wheels start turning. Bachmeier eventually gets out of his letter of intent, lands at BYU in May. So didn't even go through spring training, but is their starting quarterback as a true freshman. And as a true freshman, he reached these standards. He threw for over 3,000 yards, ran for over 500, counted for 25 touchdowns or more, and committed 10 turnovers or fewer. The 19th Power Conference quarterback in the last 20 years to hit all those standards. So really good true freshman performance. With a year in the program as a true sophomore, he'll be better. L.J. Martin back as the running back, over 1,300 yards rushing last year. They've got a great defense coming back. I think it's a top 10 to 12 type defense. 23-4 is BYU over the past 2 seasons. I just think they're going to go in there to Salt Lake and win this game. BYU won a couple of years ago here by 1 point, won last year by 3 points. I'll take BYU +3 over Utah.
Excellent as always. Follow him on X at Paul Stone Sports. Thanks, Paul. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Up next, we'll update this World Cup match in an incredible stat in Major League Baseball that you won't believe.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We just spent quite a few minutes talking about Conor McGregor's return to the octagon this weekend, taking on Max Holloway, and there's another goal by France.
Oh, boy, the floodgates are open.
Yeah, 2-0. Now, 66 minute. That one was way too easy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was going to happen at some point. First half numbers weren't lying. Let's go to the progressive guest line. Lou Finocchiaro joins the program now, does a great job with the weekly write-ups for the UFC card at vsin.com and also with the Bout Business podcast. All right, Lou, I think you heard us talking about betting Holloway against McGregor, and if we lose, we lose. Here, you had a phenomenal breakdown on this fight. Tell the audience how you think this one's going to unfold.
Well, guys, thanks for having me. It's great to have such another great fight card coming up again. In this main event, I'll start with Conor. And while there's plenty of mud to throw at him, he's 37 now. He hasn't fought in 5 years. He was 0-2 against Poirier the 2 fights before he broke his leg and was ousted. And in that 5 years, he's had a colorful run, from running for president or threatening to run for president of Ireland to all kinds of news that is really unsightly. So there's been a lot that's happened with him in the 5 years. But in order to recover, he's always had this return on his mind. He has been taking the necessary protocols to get back strong and ready to go for this fight or whatever fight was going to be his first. And by that, I mean the dude's been juicing for years. That's why this fight's 170. He wants to make Holloway come up. Holloway has never fought at 170. He's a 145er that's now fighting successfully at 155. So McGregor is going to show up. He's going to show up with ferocity and tremendous power, and he's going to look to take Max to the center, do this, and try and get Max to engage with him early. I believe that Max Holloway will be the man that surely has been in with an elite set of fighters his last 5 fights. He's going to have the feet. He's going to have the fluidity. He's going to have the defense. So I absolutely favor Holloway, but there's risk in Conor's power. If Holloway can keep his feet and make McGregor expend 6 minutes of energy, the fight changes. I believe McGregor has 6 minutes. Last, I don't believe McGregor makes 170. I believe that he'll come out at 73, 74. He'll make Holloway uncomfortable, make him fight even higher. Meanwhile, Conor doesn't have to cut the weight. Conor's a con man. I believe that Holloway will eventually get to him. My bets are Holloway inside the distance, which is now minus 140. Earlier in the week, it was minus 125. If you don't want to go that way, you can take the points handicap, something people don't use very much. And that would be Holloway minus 5.5 points. And at the minus 5.5 points, you pay minus 175. So you can go either way, because if you take the points handicap and it goes to decision, if Holloway has a dominant last 3 rounds, he could easily cover those points.
Great breakdown. Also, the Brown prop is 2.5. You want to parlay. Round 5 does not start. What do you want to parlay it with?
Yeah, I want to take it with a guy named Luke Riley, an Englishman that's coming into town. He has to travel. He's taken on a Hawaiian that trains in Vegas that doesn't have to travel, Kai Kamaka. Kamaka's durable. He's tough. He's in his second stint at the UFC, but he's made for Riley, who's got tremendous power, young and flash. And so I'm going to pay the 310 with Riley and then take it, I'm going to pay, because of the points handicap, minus 110 with Riley. And then I put it together with that, with that 300, with main event does not start 5 minus 310. That's a 1 plus 138 proposition.
Okay. Yeah. So again, main event does not go to round 5. Parlayed to Riley minus 3.5 points.
Minus 3.5, minus 125.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
Exactly.
There you go. Bautista against Sandhagen here. We were talking to you about this rematch in the commercial break. This one qualifies as your best bet on the card, Lou?
Yes, it does. And I love, this is going to be a great fight that could well go to decision. Sandhagen, long, tall, experienced, and top 5 in the division. Bautista, shorter, more compact, and on a complete and total tear his last 5 or 6 fights. Bautista took a fight on short notice 7 years ago in his debut in the UFC against Sandhagen and lost a decision. And so since then, he has had this fight on his mind. They're about the same age. Sandhagen is going to have some height and reach, but it will be Bautista's strength, his strength of mind, and his wrestling that will be the difference in this fight. Bautista opened considerably higher at plus 170. I'm not getting the best of the number, but I'm still getting a plus number on a kid that I think will get his hand raised.
Okay, and that qualifies again as your best bet of the card. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Lou Finocchiaro. Make sure you follow him on X at GamLou. Does a great job with the weekly UFC write-ups at VSiN.com, and his podcast is called About Business as well. All right, what do you think about Paddy Pimblett? He's plus money this weekend on the UFC card. Are you going to make a wager on him?
Let's just understand that I get very serious about my likes and dislikes. I don't like Conor, but it doesn't affect my betting, and I really don't like Paddy. However, in this spot, I think Paddy is a worthy underdog. He's coming off a 5-round close loss, not close. He got the brakes beat out of him, but he went to decision with Gaethje, and we just saw what Gaethje did. And Pimlet now, that was a 5-round fight, turns around. He's huge for the division, gets a 3-round fight, and takes a guy on in Benoit Saint Denis that he'll be a little bit larger than. Now, Benoit Saint Denis, a French paratrooper, totally focused, strong as an ox. However, he's got 6 or 7 minutes of dominance in him before he begins to wane a little bit. And I believe Patty's going to make him be there in the middle of that second round. And that's when this fight changes. Benoit Saint Denis will take the first round as he usually does. He comes out hot as a pistol. He's also rumored to have a staph infection, which can also, because of the antibiotics you have to take, slow a fighter down. He had a staph infection against Poirier. And whether he has the staph infection or not, I like Paddy Pimblett in this spot, even though I don't like Paddy Pimblett, the human being.
Excellent. Very good. All right. You're always good for a bomb. Let's go to Tracy Cortez. Split or majority decision. Take it away.
Yeah, hometown fighter or home country fighter. She lives down here in Phoenix and trains, so Vegas is easy. She takes on a Chinese fighter, Wang Kong, that has to travel in, so there's a little advantage for her there, provided both these ladies make weight. You're looking at a 2.5 round that's over minus 300. So this fight's going to decision. They're lightweight women, and Tracy Cortez got a mean streak in her. And I think she gets her hand raised. Tracy Cortez to win by split or majority decision is a cool fight, plus 550.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. How about a parlay? You want to go Kavanaugh again, points with King that plays plus money? Tell us how you want to parlay that.
Yeah, I mentioned Kavanaugh earlier when I was talking about Riley, but this parlay, Kavanaugh, I'm using the points again. Very good. At minus 3.5, he comes down to minus 110. And this Loner Kavanaugh is the real deal. Brandon Royval is long and tall, drink of water. I just don't know that he can last against Kavanaugh. So we're going to gladly take Kavanaugh down. And if he wins in decision form, I think he wins pretty one-sided and can cover the 3.5. But I think he could finish young Royval. And then I'm going to take him and put him with Bobby King Green, who's currently priced at plus 115 to plus 120. And that parlay plays a plus 300. And that's a fun one there, simply because if we can get the dog in with King Green early, now we have Kavanaugh as the favorite in the following fight.
Yeah. How long do you think the Green-McKinney match is going to last?
That's a great question. There's emotion between the two guys. None of McKinney's fights ever start the second round.
No.
But Green, despite being 39, 40 years old, he's anything but green. He's fast for his age. He's slick. He's got way more experience. And he's PO'd at the young McKinney for dialogue they had before the fight. I do think Bobby King Green's in a pretty good position here, especially if his goal is just take this fight to the second round, where I think he'd hold great dominance.
Very good. Excellent analysis as always. Follow him on X at Gamlu, the About Business podcast, and the weekly write-ups as well here at vsin.com. Thank you, Uncle Lou. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good luck, everybody.
Back at you.
Thank you.
Join us here on the Progressive Guest Line.
Did you send that in? Somebody wants that fight to last in the first minute.
Done. Yeah, they're betting it first. I forget who it was, but yeah.
4-1. It will end in the first minute.
Yep. Okay. That's available. Sports betting and card collecting are becoming closer every single year. Wait until you hear this Honus Wagner story and who the owner of the card is coming up next.